Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we're diving into a report from Grainger Inc. It sounds like a hardware company, but trust me, the details are much more exciting than a trip to the hardware store, especially when we talk about changes to shareholder voting rights. We're breaking down a recent filing where Grainger made some important changes to how their shareholders get to vote. This could mean big changes for the future of the company, so let's get into it. Before we start, if you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below. Join in for discussions. First, let's set the stage. This report, called an 8K, was filed on May 15, 2025. It's basically a snapshot of significant events that could matter to investors. In this case, it's all about changes to the company's rules. One of the biggest things this report covers is how the company has changed the rights of its security holders. That's a fancy way of saying they've tweaked the rules about how shareholders get to vote on important company decisions. This all happened because of a vote at Grainger's annual meeting in April. The shareholders got to weigh in on a proposal to get rid of something called cumulative voting. So what is cumulative voting? Imagine you have a certain number of votes and you can spread them out across different candidates or put them all on one person you really believe in. That's cumulative voting. It can help smaller shareholders have a bigger impact. Grainger decided to eliminate it. Getting rid of cumulative voting usually means it's harder for minority shareholders to get their voices heard on the board of directors. To make this change, Grainger had to amend or change Article 10 of their restated Articles of Incorporation, which is like their company rule book. They also made some smaller changes to their bylaws to match this new rule. If you want to read the exact wording of these changes, you can find them in Exhibits 3.1 and 3.2 attached to this report. Now, let's shift our focus to the financials. While this particular filing doesn't have extensive financial tables, it is important to understand the company behind these governance changes. Here's what we can gather about Grainger Inc. without deep diving into financial statements from this specific report. The company is based in Illinois. The company's IRS employee identification number is 361502ATO. Their stock is traded on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol GWW. Alright, now let's step back and look at the bigger picture. What does all this mean for Grainger and its shareholders? By getting rid of cumulative voting, the management team and the board of directors likely have a bit more control. It can make it harder for outside voices to shake things up. Now, it's important to note that eliminating cumulative voting isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it can streamline decision making and make it easier for the company to move quickly. But it also means that smaller shareholders might have a tougher time influencing the company's direction. While this report doesn't give us all the financial details, it's a peek into how Grainger is run and who really calls the shots. So what's the final verdict? Grainger seems to be consolidating control in the hands of its management and board. This might lead to more stability and quicker decisions, but it could also mean less influence for smaller shareholders. The company's direction seems to be towards a more centralized leadership. It will be interesting to see how this plays out in the future. A notable risk here is that if smaller shareholders feel ignored, they might become less invested in the company's success. In conclusion, this change in voting rights is a subtle but significant shift in Grainger's corporate landscape. It's a reminder that even seemingly small changes can have a big impact on who has power within a company. Alright, that's our breakdown of Grainger's latest filing. What's your take on these voting right changes and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.